Hi everyone, it's Vera. Welcome back to the journal journey. Today I want to share something special, my 3-year diary. It's been one of my favorite projects using a traveler's notebook to create this. It's where I keep my daily gratitude entries, just a few lines each day, and over time it becomes this really reflective archive of life. Today, I'm going to show you how I created mine, and maybe this will inspire you to create one yourself. Maybe repurpose an old journal you have lying around. First, what's a 3-year diary? It's essentially a diary where each page is segregated or divided into 3 sections, which allows you to record entries for the same date over 3 consecutive years on a single page. You write a small entry for each day, just a sentence or two, and you repeat it again next year and the year after that. And what you get is essentially a time capsule. Now, there are 3-year diaries that already exist in the market. I came across quite a few of them during my trip to Tokyo. You even have 5-year versions. I was actually going to buy one for myself. There are these beautiful hardbound ones from Midori, but then I thought, why don't I just make one for myself? Especially since I really love the Traveler's Notebook system and I want to use the journals I already have. And so this is what I have now. I created this using my Traveler's Notebook, the Tokyo Station edition, and I'm going to show you how I did it. When it comes to supplies, you need a blank journal. This is the special edition Traveler's Notebook found exclusively at Tokyo Station, and this is one of my favorite covers. And I'm so happy that I'll be able to use this consistently for 3 years. Then I use a blue pen and a black pen. These are Uniball pens, and I like them because the ink is very deep and very dark. Then I also use this brass clip and the pencil board from Traveler's Notebook, which I find really useful. It's got some ink stains on it, but I'll just use Clorox to remove it. A note on why I prefer the Uniball pens for writing headers. Because with other pens, such as the Traveler's Company brass ballpoint pen, I find that the ink isn't as jet black as I'd like it to be. So I use the Uniball when I want a bold ink, while I just use the brass ballpoint pen for when I'm doing my normal writing. So you can see here the difference between the two black inks. One is the Uniball pen and the other is the Traveler's Company brass ballpoint pen. The ink of the Uniball is clearly much darker. I'm also going to be using these highlighters called Mildliner. I love these and so do many other stationery lovers, not just because they come in an array of beautiful unique colors, which I know I'm just using the blue and the yellow, which aren't unique colors in themselves, but they're popular because the color isn't overly saturated and there's little to no ghosting even on thin paper. I'm also going to be using these new to me Himekuri sticker calendars. If you want to know more about these and what they are, you can refer to my last video where I unboxed this unique, cute little calendar. And the last supply I'll be using is this Midori mechanical stamp. It's got the days of the week on here and a few other iconographs. I use this mostly for the days of the week. Now that I have the Himekuri calendar sticker, this is actually redundant, but this is what I used prior to that to note the days of the week. How this works is that you press down on it and you press the little red button till you hear a click, and that keeps the rotor in place. Then you rotate it until you get to the text you'd like to stamp, click on it again to release the lock, and then you stamp and go. Now a quick look at my 3-year diary. I haven't fully set it up yet and I'll show you in real time how I go about setting up the pages for it. So I keep my journal in this cotton pouch, which is also from Tokyo Station. So I've got the Tokyo Station Traveler's Notebook and the matching charm. I'm staying strong on the theme, y'all. Now inside is the 64 pages empty paper blank insert that comes with a leather cover. I've used the dry transfer stickers from the yearly sticker set, again from Traveler's Company for this. Yes, I know it's quite messy, and I know there is a two missing in 2027, and that's because I just ran out of the number two transfer stickers, but we'll deal with that later. On the inner page, I've got my quote, which is quite personal to me, hence I've blurred it out. And I have the 2025 New Year sticker from Travelers Company on the other page. I'm going to stick the ones for 2026 and 2027 here as and when I get them. I've also used the index stickers from Travelers Company to segregate the pages by month. I actually started this diary in August, but I've just added the tabs for September to December, and I'll add the tab for January at the top. Now, this is what the first entry looks like. The first entry was made in August 27th. It's on the first page, and I know that might trigger some people, but that's just how it is. Not everything has to start on the 1st of January. Any new habit, any new journal, you can just start whenever you want. Just make it your own and make it work for you. There are no rules to these things. So the first insert is the 64-page insert that comes with the leather journal. But for the remaining, I'm going to be using the thinner lightweight paper that has 128 pages. And I'm using the lightweight paper because obviously it's got more pages than the regular insert. If I stick to just using the regular 64-page inserts, I would have to use 6 inserts and the journal would obviously get quite thick. If I were to use only the lightweight paper inserts, I would use only 3 of them. But since I'm using a combination of both, the journal will have 1 regular insert, 2 lightweight inserts, and I'll add a couple of loose pages to make up for the deficit. So now that I have my new 2026 sticker set, I wanted to finally add the missing 2 in 2027. But I don't know what happened. Usually these transfer stickers are really easy to use. There's no fuss. All you have to do is rub it in and they stick onto any page or to any cover. But I ended up struggling and actually ended up wasting 2 twos. So in the end, I gave up and just doodled the number in with a black ink. Now I had created only a few pages beforehand. Because it takes a bit of time to create the sections on the pages and add the dates, etc., I have been creating pages a month at a time. You could obviously work on this project over the weekend and finish it in one sitting, but because I haven't been able to find the time, I do it a month before. So, for example, I created the pages for November and October, and for December, I'm creating the pages in November, etc. The setup is simple. Each page has a date at the top. You've got the day of the week and the year on the right. Now, I created this before I got the Himekuri calendar, so the date will be redundant. But if you're not using the Himekuri calendar, you could just use this as your setup. Also, you'll see later in the video why you may not want to use the Himekuri calendar stickers for this project. So to do this, you need to take out the insert from the journal because it's just easier to work on this way. Flip the pages onto a blank page, and I'm going to be using my brass clip to just make it sit flat. And then I use the pencil board I have from Travelers Company. The pencil board has a ruler on the back of it, and you can just use an ordinary ruler if you have that. That also works. Now the length of the journal is roughly 21 centimeters. So to divide the page into 3 equal segments, you make a mark at the 7 centimeter and the 14 centimeter point. And to make sure it's aligned, I do the same at the other end of the page. So these are the 2 markings, and I do the same exercise on the other page as well. Once that's done, it's just a matter of connecting the dots to get an even straight line. Now you must be thinking, damn it, do I have to mark the same measurement on each and every page? It's going to be hella time consuming. And no, you don't need to do that. The reason I'm using the Uniball pen is, as I mentioned, because the ink is dark and it's dark enough for it to coast ever so slightly on the other page. So you just follow the outline on the previous page and that's it. You don't need to bring out the ruler every single time just to measure out the 7 and 14 centimeter mark. So once I create the boundary lines for about a month's worth of writing, it's time to add in the dates, the day of the week, and the year. Now be mindful that with the lightweight paper, it's very easy to skip pages because it's so thin. So double check that you haven't skipped on pages when you're working with lightweight paper. To just be more efficient, I start with the month first, I finish that, then I move on to the year, I finish that, and then I move on to the day of the week. It's just quicker to batch it this way. 26, 2020. Now the thing is that I've only started journaling not here. I started this way back in August. I started this in August, right? So anything that I have here from January 1st, I'm actually not going to be able to use this. Anything from January until August of 26, it's actually going to be blank. I should have actually shifted this up, but this is something that only just occurred to me right now. So it's fine. I'm just going to use this empty space for something else, probably stick the stickers there. So that's absolutely fine. So yes, I just noticed that discrepancy, but that's fine. It's okay. I was in flow, so I didn't really notice. But from the next month onwards, I'll just segregate the page into 2 parts instead of 3. Next is I do this. Okay, so what I do is, because it takes time to rotate and shove it around, I try to do all of the Mondays first, all of the Tuesdays second, so on and so forth, so I don't have to keep wasting my time spinning this around. Now, since I have the Himekuri calendar stickers for 2026, this step is actually redundant, but this is how I would mark the days of the week on my notebook. So here I am being a happy camper, stamping away the day of the week, and then I use the Mildliner highlighters to, well, highlight the day and the date, and that's when I realized I've made a mistake. So I've been stamping the day of the week for 2026 in the 2025 segment. So this is a perfect example of why you should not be precious about using your journals. Mistakes will happen, and they do seem to happen to me a lot more often than it happens to others. So I had to stamp away again and just move on. Only for this to be redundant again, thanks to the Himekuri stickers. Anyway, moving on. So this is what it finally looks like, warts and all. Now on to the stickers. You can refer to my previous video where I unboxed the Himekuri calendars if you want more detail about this particular product. But these are essentially stickers for each day of the week. Now it starts with December 29th, and I had to double check and triple check that it meant December 29th of 2025 and not 2026. I was on edge after making all those mistakes earlier. But yes, it starts with December 29th of 2025. Now these stickers are like washi tape in that you can peel them off if you don't like the initial placement of them, and you can move them around later. In terms of the size of the sticker, it's 3 by 5 centimeters by 2.5 centimeters. So if you were to stick this on the weekly insert of the Passport Traveler's Notebook, it would take up quite a bit of writing space. So I think it's a little too big for that. Now these are the images for the 3rd week of January. And this is the imagery for the 4th week of Jan. It's such a funny coincidence that the 2 flowers that they featured in this particular week are flowers that I used in my last flower arrangement. That's Spirea and that is Sweet Pea. And even the vase that they've used in the picture looks very similar to the ones I used. And this is the set for the last week of January. Now the pictures appear to be repeating themselves. So I looked back at some of the previous days, and it does look like the scenery or the subject may be repeated, as in the case of this plate of butter biscuits, but the angle of the shot is different, so I guess that's fine. Since I'm going to be away from home for most of winter, I'm sticking all of the stickers for January into my 3-year diary. Now I am noticing that on the lightweight paper, the pages are curling a bit. I've seen this with the Hobonichi as well. The Hobonichi Tomoe River paper is also thin, and when you start to add a lot of stickers to it, the pages tend to curl. Now, this doesn't bother me, but I thought of mentioning it in case this is important to you. Now, if you're using these stickers in the regular insert, I know that the pages don't curl. I've stuck a bunch of things on the regular 64 page inserts and they don't curl at all. So this is what the completed insert looks like, or at least a month's worth of blank pages. Yes, it's a tad messy, but hey, that's life, c'est la vie. So I add the insert back to the journal and I just add the monthly index tab to indicate that it's for January. So I hope this has inspired you to create your own 3-year diary. Please do hit the like button if you found this useful. It helps others like yourself come across my videos, and stay subscribed for the next one. I'll see you next time. Bye.